brownmamas.com that we're going to do that.
Yes, at Brown Mommies, you know that we try to bring you inventive parenting tips from the Brown Mommy perspective. So today, Cynthia and I are going to just have a discussion and let you guys in on it.
All right, sounds great. So now that we've got that out of the way, we are going to have some what we call Hot Mama Talk. And Hot Mama Talk is just where we talk about something that's slightly controversial that has to do with parenting and how we raise our kids. And today, we're going to talk about something that I'm pretty sure everybody sees. Well, my son, he just started middle school. And one thing I notice when I go to pick him up from school every day is that the high school kids are a little crazy. Just a little crazy. When I was in school, I know we did crazy stuff. When I was in high school, which wasn't too long ago, that was that was like 15 years ago.
And that's not a long time.
Yeah, it's not a long time. So I remember doing some crazy stuff when I was in high school. I remember we used to hike up our skirts, and we did all the stuff that I'm sure kids do today. But the only thing that I'm noticing is that when I was in school and I wanted to talk to a boy, I snuck. Yes. I would talk to a boy somewhere where I was absolutely sure another adult was not coming around.
Right, at least you checked. And I think now what we're seeing is a lot of these kids are, because they're what I like to call the unparented generation. Mm-hmm. When they see an adult, they don't think, okay, I have to sort of, I guess, code switch and now sort of act the way that I know I was raised. And so I was at the bus stop the other day, like you said, and there were a couple of high school kids there, and they were cursing. I mean, and they said a couple of verbs, a couple of nouns, and everything else was a curse word. And so I was just kind of like, wow, I hope I look young enough where they think maybe I'm one of them, which I highly doubt. But I think that if it were me, and even when I was younger, if an adult was around, I just felt like, okay, I know what the expectation is. This is like my mom or my aunt, and you act a certain way. So it's just a little bit concerning to me that kids are comfortable misbehaving in front of adults.
So I think the question that I'm kind of asking myself as I'm seeing these kids is, do we, brown mommies, because our kids, they go to brown schools, there's all brown people at these schools, do we as brown mommies stop parenting our kids when they get to high school? Because I know when I'm at my son's kindergarten school, which is also a predominantly African American school, there are lots of parents around. I always see parents when I pick them up, when I drop them off. But then when I get to the high school level, I mean, I'm lucky if I see 2 parents a week. Right. So what do you think about that?
And so my daughter just started high school a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like now is when she needs me more. Now is when I think that she has to get to a place where she's going to own her womanhood. So we have to sort of do that hand in hand. And I try to be even more present. I think they still need that support. The world is, like we just talked, is very different from how it was when we were going into high school. And so different. I just try to keep my ear to the ground and really know what type of issues are going to impact her. I'm always, paying attention to popular culture, trying to understand what it is she's up against. Because when she goes to make these decisions, I don't want her to feel like she needs to go it alone. Or if she, wants to talk to me, I don't want to be totally out of my depth. And I think that it's important for her to know that I am still watching. There are standards, there are requirements, and I'm expecting you to really step your game up and live out what it is I've been teaching you for the past 14 years. So
I think that's where a lot of mommies have a difficulty, because I think when your kid is young, when your kid is in elementary school, you know that there are certain things you have to do to keep them on track because they need you so much. Right. But when they move into that high school period, when they're 14, 15, 16, and you're not quite sure where they need you. But what you have to understand, I think, is it's just time for the role to change a little bit. Right. You go from being like a facilitator where you're actually facilitating their activities, where now it's kind of time for you to be more like a moderator. You have to trust your parenting. You have to trust that what you did.
If you've done it.
If you've done it, but you have to have done it. If you haven't done it, then you need to continue in the facilitator role. You need to keep on going and learn how to do that.
But if you've done your job, then you shouldn't be moving into a moderator role where you're letting your child make their decisions and use their best judgment, but you're still there, with your finger on the pulse to kind of guide them and lead them. So, and one of the things I think that some people get exhausted. And when they're in high school, you're like, you're old enough now where you can just do all this, all these things yourself.
And they're not.
And they're not. Their bodies are different. Their bodies are adult, but their minds and their emotions are not. They're going through so much flux. So the hormones are really starting to kick in now. So I think that's when you need an adult, because once you train a toddler not to do something, or a younger kid not to do something, they're scared of you, so they're not going to do it.
Exactly.
When they turn into a teenager, they're not afraid anymore.
Yes.
So they're ready to defy you. And I think that that's why you have to. I check homework. I show up to parent-teacher conference. I send emails, and I don't want to hover over my daughter, but I also want her to know that while you're coming into your independence, I'm still watching, and I'm going to hold you accountable.
And I think it's also important to realize the puberty that your teenager is going through. Like, most doctors will tell you that your kid is crazy. At 15, 16, 17. They are literally out of their minds. Their brains have not developed to the point where they are capable of making great decisions. That's why it's so important that you be the moderator, because it's like you're allowing them to learn through trial and error, but you're still there to turn them around when the error comes in. Because if there's a trial, either they're going to triumph over that trial or they're going to make a serious error, and you want to catch. My dad always says, catch the mistakes before they become errors. Because once it's an error, and a habit, bad habits are hard to break, but good habits are equally hard to break. So if you can get them into some of those good habits during their teenage years, I feel like it will really go far. So we have to continue on that path. We can't quit once they hit those high school doors.
Right. And to simplify it, I think we have to tell our kids before they leave the house in the morning, I expect you to conduct yourself like I can see you. That's what I was always told.
Right. That's
Even
great.
to this day, I look over my shoulder and go, I'm 32 years old, but I know if somebody sees me acting untoward, it will get back to my mother, and I will be held accountable. So I think that we just need to have our kids understand that. My expectation is that if I have raised you well, now is not the time to let that go, and we need to continue being their parents and their support system through high school.
It's just important to say, don't stop what you're doing. If you're doing a good job, keep doing it. If you feel like you're not doing a good job, find a way to get help. Don't be afraid to tap the brown mommy who you see going to the parent-teacher conferences and ask her how she's doing it. That's one of the things about us as brown mommies. Sometimes we are afraid to ask for parenting help. So if you need help, just get the help. Don't let your kids suffer because you were scared to get the help.
And you can always email us at brownmommies@gmail.com.
That's
and
right.
as for parenting tips, we'd be happy to send you any feedback that you need. Which leads us to our next segment, which is tiny tips for a tidy house. Tidy tips for a tidy household. Cynthia is going to do something that she actually demoed it for me earlier, and it was fantastic. It's how to fold a fitted sheet. You guys have to see this.
Welcome back to Brown Mommy Talk, and right now we're going to do a little segment we call Tiny Tips for a Tidy Household. Now, Dia, do you like doing laundry?
It's not my favorite thing.
I really don't like doing laundry. I do the laundry and then I leave all the folded clothes that need to be folded all around the house. So, one of the worst things, one of the worst nightmares is folding fitted sheets. So today I'm going to show you guys the way that I've learned how to fold a fitted sheet. It's the right way. Alright, so Dia, the first thing we need to do is I'm going to give Dia the other side of the sheet. Now, the key to this is finding your corners. So, Dia, show them what they need to find.
Okay, so you want to look for the seam because you want the seams to be facing you, and then you want to look for that little point in the corner and put your index fingers in those corners.
Alright, so finger in the corner. That's where you want to be, both fingers. So the next thing you do is you're going to join those corners together. So I'm going to give these corners to Dia. Okay. And this is a great place to get your daughter or your son involved in doing the laundry, because you're going to need help with this the first time that you do it. So Dia's going to get those corners together. You want to get...
Okay, I got my first one.
Get your second one together.
Fill out for my second one, and there it is.
Alright, so at this point, both corners of the sheet should be on your pointer finger. So once she's got that done, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to move to the next segment. But I know it isn't easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world.
And as you can see, I'm on a learning curve, so don't be worried about your first time. You'll get it eventually.
Alright, great. So now we've got corners on corners. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this from Dia, and basically what you want to do is you want to turn your fitted sheet into a flat sheet. So now we've got a flat sheet, right? So then you join both points together, and voila, you've got a flat sheet.
Isn't that terrific?
Easy. Now, what I usually do is I'll find a flat surface, like the floor, and I'll just spread it on out over the floor. And sometimes you'll have like a little abnormal corner. So you'll just move that corner over, and you can even take one side and just fold it halfway in. So then you've got a perfect square. Take your square, take it to the other side, flatten it out, and you can fold it like a regular sheet. One side over, the other side under. Now, what you got? You've got a folded sheet. It wasn't that difficult. It may look hard the first time, but the second and third times you do it, I'm telling you, it's not rocket science. You'll be good. And it'll fit right in your cabinet really neatly. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us for Brown Mommy Talk. We really appreciate it. Dia, where can you find us at?
So you can find us on Twitter. You can follow us at Brown Mommies. That's BROWNMOMMYS. You can email us at brownmommies@gmail.com. And you can also visit our blog, www.brownmamas.com.
All right. So
we're here to make we're here to help you make motherhood matter.
Stop making that face, girl. We are here to make motherhood matter. Thank you, guys.